Hey Raider Nation, this is Elias Trejo with the Raider Nation Times. I'm wearing glasses today again so I look smarter, and I also dressed up for you guys today. As you can see, I'm trying to look a little bit more professional, so I went and stole this from my neighbor's house. And actually, I gotta hurry because he gets back in about 15 minutes. So here we go, guys. Let's talk about the Oakland Raiders again. Obviously, we're disappointed that they lost to the Minnesota Vikings. And after kind of watching the game again and watching the Steelers game again, the Raiders aren't a better team than the Vikings. They're not a better team than the Steelers. Against the Steelers, we just played a good game on offense, good enough to almost beat them. But if you look at the whole roster in general, the whole situation in general, we're not a better team than the Steelers, and I'm okay to admit that today. The Vikings, guys, I think that loss to the Vikings was the first game that I can actually say since the Bengals that they beat us. We didn't make stupid mistakes and let them hang around. They forced those mistakes. It's not like we were dropping pitches. It's not like we were, miscommunicating or anything like that. The Vikings actually beat us. They're a better team than we are, and I think that showed on Sunday. And that's one of the biggest reasons we lost. Now the Oakland Raiders are 4-5 now, which is not very good for my 9-7 playoff predictions. After the Jets game, I was at a high 10 in confidence level. I was 100% positive we were going to the playoffs after that Jets game. I didn't see how we were going to lose, a lot of games to end the year, but unfortunately we did. My confidence level in the playoffs now is a 6. So, well, I'm not going to say we're making the playoffs, even though I have said it in the past. I'm also not going to say that we're out of the playoffs, because let's be real for a second. I realize we lost to two teams who are better than us, but we're 4-5. The 6th seed is 5-4. So no, we're not completely out of the playoffs. We still do have a favorable schedule. We got the Lions next week, then we got the Titans, and then we got the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I believe we're a better team than the Lions and the Titans. I believe us and Kansas City are equal because their defense is so much better than ours, and our offense is so much better than their offense. And when you play a team like that, I think two things that are going to help us win that game in Oakland are the fact that we have a better quarterback than the Kansas City Chiefs, and it's a home game. So I don't think it's going to be similar to the Vikings game because I do think we're equally matched against the Chiefs. So I expect the Raiders to win their next 3 games. But after this last week's performance, it's a little bit shaky now. I mean, we could go 2-1, but even then at 2-1, we'd still be 6-6, which isn't completely out of the playoffs. One thing that does help us a lot, you guys, is that the Denver Broncos now are kind of in a rut, and I see the Broncos actually losing their next 2. If we can win our next 2 and the Broncos lose to the Chicago Bears, who all of a sudden are looking amazing on offense, and Cutler's playing well, they play John Fox as well, so John Fox knows what that team looks like. I think they're going to lose to them, and then they play the Patriots. I think they're going to lose to the Patriots as well. So we're talking about the Broncos falling to 7-4, and if the Raiders can beat the Titans and the Lions, which I think we can, we're better than them. I realize we're on the road, but we're just a better team than they are, both teams. We could be 6-5, and the Broncos can be 7-4. Then we play the Kansas City Chiefs at home. That's a game that I think we can win. We would go to 7-5. We need the Chargers to beat the Broncos in San Diego, which I don't even know if that's possible for them to win another game this year, but we'll see what happens. But when we play the Broncos, it might actually be a big game. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Again, I think the Broncos have a better team than we do. Those games that we have played close and almost won, it's because we've played well, and we're going to have to play well every game. We can't have off games because we're not a good enough team to overcome those off games yet. But, that can change in the future. The reality is, guys, the Raiders have blown an opportunity to not only gain an advantage in the playoff race, but now we have no advantage whatsoever. Now we need teams to do the things that we couldn't do because we weren't able to beat a team like the Steelers. We weren't able to beat a team like the Vikings. We need the Steelers to lose some games, and there's some losable games coming up in their schedule. They have a bye week this week, so they're not going to get ahead of us. They could get ahead of us if we lose to the Lions, but they play the Seahawks in Seattle, which is a game I think they'll lose, which will bring them down to 6-5. That's positive. Then they play the Colts, which the Colts right now I'm not really sure what to think of them. Andrew Luck is gone, but they played actually pretty well without Andrew Luck this year, so that's going to be an interesting game. But it's going to be in Pittsburgh. I don't think the Colts are going to beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh, so I think the Steelers are a lock. The two teams we really got to watch are the Bills and the Jets. Ideally, we end the season with the same record as the Jets, and the Bills have a worse record than both of us. Then we can make the playoffs. But we got to take care of business first, and that's something that we just haven't done as a team, or the Raiders haven't done as a team this year, and it's been disappointing. I mean, the defense right now, I'm not sure what's going on. That's our weakest unit if you look at our offense and our defense. That's something that hopefully improves, and I can't say it's going to improve. We've been run all over, we've been passed all over the last 2 weeks. We just haven't looked very good. We play Matthew Stafford, Calvin Johnson, Golden Tate. That's going to be a challenge for us, and our offense needs to show up and put up 30 points against the Detroit Lions, who just shut out Aaron Rodgers, shut them down in Green Bay. So they're coming in with a lot of confidence this week, and we're not. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens this coming week. It's a big week for us. If we want to stay alive in the playoff race, and I realize some of you guys get offended when I say that, but look at the numbers. We're not out of it yet. Realize your confidence is shot. Do whatever. Go do some push-ups. Do what you need to do to get your confidence back up, because we're still in this. But we need to win this week. If not, I mean, it's completely over. I mean, there's really no chance of that. One thing I want to talk about is our offense. I'm not really sure if it was the Vikings or if it was our play calling this week, but we need to accept the fact that we're better if we play aggressive. We're better if we're a pass-first team versus a run-first team. We need to get the ball into Derek Carr's hands more. I'd rather have him throw 40 times a game and having those throws be in the first half than having us have to throw in the second half because we're behind. And reality is, I love our running backs. They have the ability to, run the ball, but we were just almost too dedicated to the run game. I know that sounds weird, but we got a superstar in Derek Carr, I think, and we got to utilize him. We got to use him more, be more aggressive. We had some deep throws against the Vikings, and their safety play wasn't very good this week. And we just, we got outcoached. We got outplayed, and they beat us this week. The Vikings team is for real. They're a better team, and we got to admit that. And we're going to play teams that are better than us. And there's really only two teams that I think are actually better than us to end the season. We have the ability to beat those guys, but we can't have an off day. Even with the teams that I think are worse than us, we can't have off days. We can't afford that. We're not that good as a team yet. We're good enough to beat anybody, but we're not good enough to overcome mistakes. And if you watch our losses this year, we've made mistakes that we just couldn't overcome. Next year might be a different story, but the 2016-15 season, it's not over yet. It's still going. We're 4-5. We're about 1.5 games back from the playoffs with 6-7 games to go. We have a favorable schedule. Even the Packers and the Broncos, who were the two losses on our schedule, they don't look that strong. But also we have to admit we don't look that strong either. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, guys. My neighbor's almost back home, so I got to, return this to his house and get back into his window. So thank you guys for watching. Again, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Follow me at Elias_Trejo. I know you can't spell it, but you'll find me. Raider Nation Times. Also, guys, find me on AskMen.com. I write a lot of good pieces for them, whether it's athlete interviews or just stuff about the Latino, Hispanic, Mexican, I don't know, I'm American, but whatever you want to call it, lifestyle as well. So thank you guys again for watching. I got to go. See ya.